Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 20th edition of Klugula Reads His Classics. We are going to go back into Below the Surface, which, if you've been keeping up, we kind of skipped out on yesterday for a little intermission and to let the events of the previous chapter of Below the Surface kind of settle a little bit. Um, for those who aren't aware, we will be continuing after a rape sequence. Obviously not graphic. I was only 15, but the fact that it was there was a little weird. So, and I was actually a little put off by that the other day, but I don't want to, stop the wackiness of this 15-year-old story. So Below the Surface continues. I realize that I missed the very end of that last chapter, so it is immediately post the rape. So we'll just get started and then we'll move into chapter 7. But I realized that there was a half a page still left of that previous chapter, which it did feel abrupt, but it just wasn't attached. So we just left off. Alyssa looked up, her eyes red and swollen. What do you mean gone? Alyssa waited for an answer. James, the rapist, was gone. That's what the captain said. Alyssa waited for an answer, the tears still streaming down her pale face. She looked from Walter to Alan and back to Walter. What? She asked again. Another bombshell. He killed himself about 12 hours ago, right after he did this to you. Walter looked at Alan and back to Alyssa. She just stared at him. She couldn't hold it in any longer, and she just started crying. Rest now. Alan took her from Walter's arms and laid her down. Let's go. The two men left the room and Alyssa watched them go. Chills ran up and down her spine. She then began to shake uncontrollably. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 6. Again, it wasn't attached, so it didn't get read last time. And obviously it's the completed aftermath of the assault slash rape. I guess call it what it is. So now we are moving into the second half of, and the second and final half of Below the Surface. This is chapter 7. All right, kids, we've got problems. One woman incapable for the time, and one man dead. Walter walked back and forth in front of his crew. Lori, he stopped in front of her, and Wade. In 15 minutes, you'll be going out to that submarine and going inside. Get photos, specimens, remains, anything. Lake, he stopped in front of him this time. Get to work. You go check all electrical devices, check the controls, everything. Let's move like we got a purpose. Isn't that another Aliens reference? Lori and Wade were escorted by Walter to the Bay Area and helped into the suits, which had been given fresh air hours ago. Now there's extra air in your packs, so you can stay out there longer. Good luck. Walter walked back towards the control room. Lori and Wade headed for the ship that they saw before, -1. This time they were less enthusiastic, but they had their orders and jobs. The doctor checked on Alyssa once before he headed for his bunk for a little rest. Carrie watched her while he slept. Walter came in as Carrie made herself comfortable. Hi. Carrie watched him sit down next to Alyssa. What a babe, she thought. Wouldn't mind getting into his pants. She stared at him. What the fuck? I don't even want to. This is insane. Okay, there was just a sexual assault slash rape. Someone's dead, and okay, I'm 15. I'm 15. Just remember, I don't know what the mindset is here. All right. How is she? Walter looked at her and she looked away. Okay, I guess. She looked up when he looked away. Alan sedated her. He thought rest would be best. She smiled at him. He smiled as good as possible in the situation. Lori and Wade gone? Carrie asked him. Yeah, about 5 minutes ago. Walter paused before he spoke again. Let's hope they find something so I know that this was worth coming down. Me too. Carrie got up to leave and thought again how good he would be in bed. Outside in the freezing cold water of the deepest point of the Mariana Trench, two lonely people made their way to the watery wrecked remains of the thing they wanted to see, but were too afraid to encounter what most likely was inside. It had been over 2 hours before they finally got a glimpse of the submarine they were ordered to explore. Who could know what would be inside, what remains floated about in the murky waters that closed in around the sub and inside the sub? These were Laurie's exact thoughts as they drew closer to the huge rotting machine. Jesus, Wade, look at it. Laurie again stared at the thing just as before. I'm looking. Wade watched it get bigger as they drew nearer. Wade, get pictures. Save some film for inside. Laurie approached the submarine cautiously, and Wade was only a few steps behind her. Jesus Christ, Wade. Laurie watched it as they got closer and closer, and the sub got bigger and bigger. Lori to Walter, come in. Lori spoke as loudly as possible in her communicator. Walter here, what is it? His voice crackled. We're here. We found it. Lori and Wade stood there waiting for a response. Okay, proceed inside, get photographs and specimens, anything. Out. Walter's voice was followed by static and then silence. Wade turned to Lori and said, You heard him, let's go. The two explorers came to the submarine and stopped. How do we get in? Wade looked at the sub and then to Lori. You go that way. I'll meet you on the other side. Lori turned and began to walk away. Lori waited until he couldn't see her, and then he began to make his way around the sub. Lori passed by several cracks and openings, but none big enough to get through. She almost gave up until she heard a crackling and Wade's voice. There's an opening on this side. Get over here. Wade's voice stopped, and Lori spoke. On my way. Lori headed around the big bulk of a wreck and met Wade in front of a large hole in the side of the sub. You have the honors. Wade spread his arm out and let Lori in first. She stepped into the darkness and turned her light on high power. The beam illuminated the room, and Lori motioned for Wade to come in. Wade stepped through the hole and into what he had been waiting to see. My lord, he whispered, it's even bigger on the inside. Lori continued to scan the room. There's nothing in here. Let's go deeper. She began to go for the doorway to another door hiding the unknown. No, I'll go first. Wade stepped in front of her. He had his hand on the lever. You guys all right? Walter's voice suddenly spoke. The both of them jumped at the sudden disturbance of silence. We're fine, Walter. Don't call so suddenly. Lori spoke like she was pissed off. Excuse me, where are you at? Walter's voice questioned. We're inside. We'll call when we find something, okay? Lori was mad now. Out. She turned off the static that filled their ears. She nodded to Wade, who waited for her signal to open the door. The door opened, and nothing was there, except for more water and more ruin. They both let out their breath that they had held simultaneously. Lori stepped forward into the next room, and as they did, they could feel everything beginning to shake. Oh, shit. Lori leaned up against the wall. It's that wave. Hold on. Wade fell to the floor and curled up as good as possible in his bulky suit. Along with the current came the unbearable noise that always accompanied the current. Everything in their room shook, and then the wave passed by, and the only proof that it had been there was the eerie sound of the noise that still rang in Lori and Wade's ears. Lori slid up alongside the wall and helped Wade up. Thanks, he murmured, and they left for the next room with the discovery of nothing in the former one. What the two unaware explorers didn't realize was that at the last wave their entrance had been blocked off by other wreckage outside the submarine. They had no way out. They were trapped. All right, folks, so that's chapter 7. Obviously, a little additional information after the rape from the previous chapter, which is still a little odd to me, and obviously the fact that characters are reacting nonchalantly, but let's keep in mind I was 15, and I'm assuming I just did all that for the sensationalism and the drama, I guess. Anyway, we'll continue. We've got about 20 pages left on this, so we'll be finishing this up in the next probably 2 or 3 days and moving on to other bits of reading, perhaps a bit lighter. Although I hope you are enjoying the kind of terrible writing skills I had at 15, but you know what, I was writing. So I'll end today as I end every day and offer you the quadruple S. Stay safe, stay smart, stay secure, and stay well stocked. And until then, until tomorrow, I should say, when we return below the surface, have a good one, guys.